Welcome to Good to Go Just in Time. I'm Cheryl Miller from the Diablo Fire Safe Council. We've been working with a leadership team of residents supported by the Alameda County Fire Department and the Santa Clara unit of CAL FIRE to develop this program. Funding was provided by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection as part of the California Climate Investment Program. Since this program is in its early form, we hope you will give us feedback on what works for you and what is missing. We look forward to hearing from you as you discover how to be good to go. You can use workbooks prepared for each of 6 modules in the program to create a customized evacuation plan for your family. Download them from our website, www.goodtogowildfire.com. After their evacuation from the SCU Lightning Complex fire in August 2020, the Sunol Leadership Group recommended we develop a module that can serve as a refresher or quick overview if you didn't get a chance to prepare. The Good to Go Just-in-Time module provides last-minute tips to evacuate from wildfire. You will learn about the actions to take at specific times leading up to and during evacuation from wildfire. It complements 5 other Good to Go modules that provide more detailed information. This module focuses on 4 moments that should trigger you to act. It provides you with checklists of what to do during these notifications. You will learn about fire weather watch, red flag warning, evacuation warning, and evacuation order. The Just-in-Time module also discusses what to expect and what to do if things go wrong. And finally, we will highlight where to learn more. Many of your local fire agencies, as well as the Alameda and Contra Costa County, have specific preparedness and evacuation information for your community. California is facing a growing wildfire crisis. Decades of fire suppression, coupled with the increasing impacts of climate change, have dramatically increased wildfires' size and intensity throughout the state. The 2020 fire season broke numerous records. 5 of California's 6 largest fires in modern history burned at the same time, destroying thousands of buildings, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes, and exposing millions of residents to dangerously unhealthy air. More than 4 million acres burned across the state, double the previous record. If you've been freaked out by the recent fires, all the smoke and ash, and want to be better prepared for a potential evacuation, this module is for you. First step is to find out if you live in or near a very high fire hazard severity zone. CAL FIRE has evaluated all of California and identified very high fire hazard severity zones. This is the map of Alameda County. The dark red is the LRA, or the local response area. That's where your local fire department is responsible. In Alameda County, it runs along the ridge from Berkeley down past Oakland, out Calister Valley, and towards Pleasanton. The light red is the SRA, and that's in areas of Tilden and Redwood Regional Parks, and also Pleasanton and Sunol in the furthest southeast corner. SRA is the state responsibility area. If you live in Contra Costa County, the red is the local responsibility areas of Richmond, El Sobrante, Martinez, Orinda, Moraga, Lafayette, Danville. The light red is again the SRA, or the state responsibility area, and that's in Wildcat Canyon and in Tilden Regional Parks, in Briones and out around Mount Diablo. If you live in a gray area on either of these 2 maps, it doesn't mean you are not at risk. It's just that those are deeper into the local areas. But as we've learned from recent fires, you can be at risk even if you live miles away from the areas identified as the high hazard severity zone. Successful evacuation depends upon everyone working together in critical roles to respond to a wildfire. In the event of a wildfire, the fire department will assign an incident commander who's in charge of the fire response. The incident commander will determine the areas to be evacuated and escape routes to use, if there are options, depending upon the fire's location, behavior, winds, terrain, vegetation, and other factors. The incident commander will work with others to determine when to call the evacuation. If you're not familiar with the Incident Command System, or ICS, we have the best system in the world. People come from all over to learn it. It organizes multiple agencies into one unified response force. The incident commander will issue the evacuation order through the sheriff's office. Law enforcement agencies are responsible for enforcing an evacuation order. Follow their directions promptly. You will be advised of potential evacuations as early as possible by CWS, which is the Community Warning System for Contra Costa County, or AC Alert in Alameda County. but you must register to receive alerts. You are responsible for evacuating yourself and your family, pets, and any livestock. You must be ready to receive notifications and to act. Your role can be made easier through preparation and by monitoring conditions when an evacuation might be needed. In a moment, you'll learn about 4 potential triggers to action. These are fire weather watch, red flag warning, evacuation warning, and evacuation order. Of course, an evacuation order can also happen with no notice. You need to acknowledge that decisions will be made on incomplete information. Make your decision to act today. We are encouraging everyone to get a workbook. In it are summaries of the materials presented and lots of helpful checklists to guide your actions. From studies on what influences wildfire evacuation decisions, researchers have categorized 3 types of people. The first group are those who are ready to leave. A second group are those who will not leave. And there are many reasons. They may be taking care of large animals, there may be no transport, they may feel that the need to protect their property, or they may mistakenly feel their home will not burn. The largest group of individuals are those who will wait and see. And this is of particular concern given the dangers of late evacuation. You need to acknowledge now that decisions will be made on incomplete information in a rapidly changing environment. Your brain will try to make sense of the chaos and ambiguity during a wildfire, but don't be fooled into thinking that there will be better information if you wait and see. I want you to remember the image of the rabbit or the duck that's shown on the top right of this screen. Do you see a rabbit or do you see a duck? There is no more information to help you decide if this ambiguous image is a rabbit or a duck, just like there will be only limited information during a wildfire evacuation. Rapid fire growth and new emissions from flying embers will continually change what is happening on the fire. You need to be ready to act, not just think about evacuating. Be in the group to leave early. In an emergency, officials may use many different tools to notify you. They will communicate information and instructions. However, the warning systems are not guaranteed to work. Monitoring and understanding the rapidly changing surrounding situations are your personal responsibility. Make sure you know how to find emergency information from many different sources. AC Alert and CWS are the most important of the notifications. The Alameda County or Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office will issue an alert when action is needed at specific addresses where lives may be at risk. You must sign up and prepare to use these systems now before an emergency occurs. Remember to set AC Alert and CWS as Do Not Disturb available contacts on your cell phone. A second way to receive notification is through Nixle. Many of our communities host Nixle sites. It may be the first method used to notify your community of small fires. You can text your zip code to 888-777 to opt in to Nixle alerts from local agencies. You can enter your home, your office, or your friend's zip codes. Just remember to set Nixle available contacts on your cell phone. Again, you need to register for this type of alert. The last notification could come from PG&E. The Pacific Gas and Electric Public Safety Power Shutoff notifications can also provide advance notice of pending critical fire conditions. Other notifications can come via social media, Twitter, Facebook, Nextdoor. Record in your workbook the official links for your local fire agency and CAL FIRE social media sites. Pulse Point is a free application that runs on your smartphone or tablet. This application can be set to follow your local fire service or first responders and will alert you when they are dispatched, but it may give you more information than you can process. Pulse Point also has the ability to monitor radio traffic and provide first-hand information from emergency scenes. Other communications you need to write down include your personal out-of-state contact information. This is who will you call to let everyone know that you're okay. The Red Cross provides a program called Safe and Well, and you can register at their website. And this will let others know you are safe and well, as well it allows you to search for your loved ones' posted messages. Don't forget to use your battery-powered weather or AM/FM radio for updates on current conditions. And don't neglect to use your own senses. Look, listen, and smell for signs of fire or changing conditions. Lastly, use your neighborhood connections to find out what your neighbors know. The first of the 4 triggers for action is Fire Weather Watch. These notifications are determined by the National Weather Service. Usually a fire weather watch is given up to 72 hours before a red flag warning. It gives you extra time to prepare with early actions for a potential evacuation. Local media outlets often announce fire weather watches. AC Alert will send a notification. Contra Costa fire agencies will use Nixle and social media, but not CWS. PG&E Public Safety Power Shutoff notifications, or PSPS, often typically occur in the same 72 hours before critical fire weather. During a fire weather watch, you want to prepare for a red flag warning. You're going to be monitoring information sources for situational awareness. More on that in a minute. And next, you just want to review what you're going to do if there is a red flag alert. Once you're ready for the red flag alert, you can think about other actions like filling your car with gas to be ready if you should have to evacuate. And we have a checklist called If Time Allows, and you can look at that and do things that could reduce the chance of ignition inside or around your home. We have some tips in the workbook, such as preventing ignitions. Make sure you don't use power tools or barbecues or any potential heat or spark source outside while it's windy. Remember that a fire weather watch often happens at the same time as a PSPS, and this is just the time for early actions for potential evacuation. A fire weather watch is often for 72 hours. What else do you need to do? First, you want to continue to monitor weather conditions several times a day to listen for any upgrade to red flag warning, evacuation warning, or an evacuation order. Most major wildfires that destroy homes and cause death and injuries have a common denominator: dry winds blowing from the east or northeast that make a fire difficult to control. These conditions are most common in the fall from September to November, but they can happen any time of year. Monitoring the predicted fire weather can provide extra time to prepare. During the North Bay fires of 2017, the National Weather Service issued a fire weather watch 72 hours before those fires began. During this fire weather watch, you are monitoring for changing conditions, such as a red flag warning, or if there's a fire nearby, or an evacuation warning or an evacuation order. Second, you can monitor active large fires in the area at the CAL FIRE website shown on your screen. If your power goes out, use a weather radio as an inexpensive and reliable way to receive notifications. Learn more about the NOAA weather radios at the National Weather website. And finally, don't forget to use your own senses and your neighborhood connections to keep up to date with changing conditions. Trigger number 2 is the red flag warning. Red flag warnings are determined by the National Weather Service. This warning is issued when conditions are expected to occur or are occurring within the next 24 hours. These are conditions that make a wildfire difficult to control. This is the time to get your family ready for potential evacuation warning or an evacuation order. Prepare your family to potentially leave on short or no notice. Continue to monitor information sources. Confirm your family communications plan. There's a template in your workbook. Review your go bag and ensure it's complete. Consider preloading your car. I usually put a case of water in the car as soon as red flag warnings are issued. Tape your no time, must go, prioritized checklist to the door you will use during an evacuation. This will help you stay organized if you have to evacuate in a hurry. There's one in your workbook. Get ready to dress for survival. More on that in a minute. Review the steps on your evacuation order checklist. Ensure phones are charged and receiving messages. Remember, the warning is used to predict when a fire will be difficult to control and evacuation may be necessary if a fire is near you. Once you are ready for a red flag warning, you can select other actions from the If Time Allows checklist for additional things you can do to reduce the chance of ignition inside and around your home. But stay ready to evacuate at any moment if conditions change or a fire ignites nearby. A red flag warning is the time to get ready for potential evacuation. You want to have a wildfire and emergency go bag ready at all times during fire season. You want to assemble a bag for each family member and pet and keep the bags in your vehicle or near your front door. If you don't have a go bag, see our Module 2 Set to Go for more details. There's a detailed gotta go checklist for you to choose from. The third step to take during a red flag warning is to prepare to dress for survival. You want to have personal protective clothing to avoid injury from smoke, sparks, embers, and extreme heat. This should be loose-fitting clothing from natural fibers such as heavy cotton, denim, or wool. Synthetic fabrics can melt or burn your skin. So from head to toe, you're going to start with a wide brim or a hard hat to stop embers from dropping on your head or down the back of your shirt. You want full coverage goggles and leather work gloves and a respirator, an N95, or a non-synthetic cloth to cover your nose and mouth to protect you from inhaling smoke, ash, and embers. Even if it's hot out, wear a long sleeve shirt. Natural fibers, all cotton or wool, and bright colors are best. It may be smoky and you may be in conditions with low visibility, so select clothing that makes you easy to see. You want heavy cotton pants, that's denim jeans, oil-free pants, cotton overalls. You want sturdy leather work boots or shoes. Wear them with woolen or cotton socks. And there's a checklist in Module 2, set to go, to help you decide what you have in your closet that will work when it's time to evacuate. Now we are to the third trigger, the evacuation warning. A warning gives you time to prepare your family for a potential evacuation order. This is the time to be ready to leave at any moment. Usually, evacuation warnings are given up to 2 hours before an evacuation order. Sometimes the warnings, though, can run for days, and sometimes they're not even issued, and the first thing you hear is an evacuation order with no notice. This is the time to review what you need to do if there is an evacuation order. If there wasn't a fire weather watch or red flag warning, review those lists to make sure you don't forget anything. If you haven't already, this is the time to dress for survival in protective personal clothing and review your go bag and gotta go checklist. Be ready to leave by preloading your car and parking it facing the street. Continue to monitor your information sources. If you have pets and animals, take actions now. You may not be able to catch and transport them later. Consider moving them before an evacuation is ordered, especially if you have large animals. Once you are ready for an evacuation order, select actions from that if time allows checklist to further reduce the chance of ignition inside or around your home. Remember, an evacuation warning means to be ready to leave at any moment. The No Time Must Go checklist includes 21 items and provides space for others. But the point of the list in the workbook is to prioritize. What would you grab if you must go now? Put your top 10 items in priority order and then tape this priority list to the door you will use during evacuation. This will help you stay organized if you have to leave in a hurry. The final step we recommend when evacuation is a possibility is continually monitoring information sources, TV, radios, phones, official social media sites. You are monitoring for changes in weather conditions, local fires, and evacuation orders. You want to listen to your local news radio stations, KCBS 106.9, 740, KGO 810 on the AM, and KNBR 680 on the AM, and others. If you haven't already, make sure you text your zip code to 888-777 to register for Nixle and receive updates and information notices. And finally, you should actively monitor the AC Alert and the CWS websites to check for if notifications have been sent. The final trigger, number 4, is an evacuation order. This means to leave now. An evacuation order calls for immediate movement of people out of an area due to an imminent threat to life. Law enforcement coordinates all evacuation actions with fire service. Not only will staying threaten your life, it may also impede the work of emergency personnel. Be ready to leave immediately as soon as you receive an evacuation order. Do not wait for someone to knock on your door to tell you personally to leave. You want to leave quickly and avoid being caught in fire, smoke, or road congestion. If you ask yourself, should I evacuate? You probably already should have. If you are unsure, feel threatened, or lose power or communication, don't wait to be ordered by authorities to leave. Law enforcement will direct the evacuation, and they will keep intersections open and moving, but remember, their resources may be limited. Evacuating early helps keep roads clear of congestion and lets fire apparatus move more freely to do their job. If you're advised to leave, do not hesitate. Remember, the fire incident commander will issue the evacuation order through the sheriff's office and will determine the areas to be evacuated and the escape routes to use if they're option, depending on the fire's location, behavior, winds, vegetation, and terrain. The law enforcement officers are responsible for enforcing an evacuation order. Follow their directions promptly. Many people ask if they should evacuate by car or by foot. Media images of burned cars have left many California residents with a misconception that cars are highly vulnerable to wildfires. The opposite is true. Your car provides a tremendous amount of protection. Made of glass and steel, it protects from hot gases, embers, and radiant heat. As long as it stays on the pavement, it's extremely resistant to burning. With an AM/FM radio, air filtration and air conditioning, headlights, and protection from heat, your car is like a survival suit for wildfire. On page 11 of your workbook, there's a checklist for you to use. It starts with, take the car that is most capable of getting you out alive. Leave the convertible. Take the SUV if possible. Take the car with the fullest tank of gas. Pick up neighbors, especially elderly or disabled residents who may be unable to evacuate on their own. Fill every seat. Carpool. Get less cars on the road. When you're ready to drive, turn on your headlights on. Wear your seatbelt. Turn on inside air and air conditioning. Tune to local news radio stations. Proceed slowly and calmly. Do not pass cars when the visibility is low. Don't panic if traffic is stopped. The route you normally take to the grocery store is usually the best route to evacuate by. These are going to be the routes you know best. Do not use unpaved fire roads or trails through open space or unburned vegetation. If available, law enforcement officers will direct traffic and wave vehicles through intersections. Even during an extreme wildfire, when there may be fire on both sides of the road, you will be safer inside your vehicle than out. Don't panic if caught in traffic. Expect slow traffic. Don't stop to ask law enforcement officers or firefighters for fire information. Everyone wants to know where to go in an evacuation. Most important is to understand that where you will go will depend upon where the fire started, the weather conditions, and the fire behavior. You won't know where to go until you start to evacuate. Even then, you want to keep as many options open as possible to respond to changing conditions. Your first thought should be get off your hill. You might think of this as downtown, but depending on the fire location, you may not be safe. You may be directed to a temporary assembly area to wait to transfer to a safer location. All evacuation instructions provided by officials should be followed immediately for your safety. As the fire approaches, if you're in your car, park with windows up in a location far from vegetation or structures and wait for the fire to pass. Don't abandon your car in the road if you become trapped. If you must leave your car, park it off-road and shelter in a nearby building. Evacuate on foot only as a last resort. Emergency managers will attempt to provide information on safe evacuation centers if time allows. Evacuation centers need to be confirmed as safe locations before they can be announced. They may be outside of your community, as our local agencies are coordinating regional responses. But what if? I'm sure you have many questions about during the evacuation. Good to Go workbooks and YouTube videos have answers to many of the common evacuation concerns. You're going to want to see Module 3, Way to Go, for discussion of common concerns like, what if my road is blocked? But my neighborhood is only one way out. Why is it a bad idea to use a fire road or evacuate through the park? If you're trapped, how to shelter in place, how to shelter in your car. And finally, what to do about what is in your way. Let's do a quick recap of the key concepts you learned. Only you can evacuate. Your role is critical during evacuations. While first responders are doing their job, you are responsible for evacuating yourself, your family, pets, and livestock. You learned about 4 triggers to action. As a resident, you need to be ready to receive and act upon 4 types of emergency notifications: fire weather watch, red flag warning, evacuation warning, and evacuation order. Make your decision to act during each notification. Remember, they may not come in order. You may suddenly get a no-notice evacuation order and need to leave now. We also covered communications and notifications. Communication and evacuation notification systems are not guaranteed to work. You need to monitor multiple sources. Remember, wildfires cause constantly changing situations with rapid spread and embers igniting new fires. Information will likely not be complete and it will feel chaotic. We moved on to action triggers and checklists. Workbooks provide checklists for the 4 action triggers to get you ready and to tell you when to evacuate. During pre-evacuation stages of fire weather watch, red flag warning, and evacuation warning, these checklists can help you identify additional things to do if time allows. You will want to leave immediately, though, if there's an evacuation order. Finally, we looked at what to expect during an evacuation. Where you will go will depend on where the fire started, the weather conditions, and fire behavior. You will want to keep as many options open as possible to respond to changing conditions. Remain calm in spite of the chaotic conditions and be prepared for potential challenges. To learn more, you can download a workbook for one of our 5 other modules in the Good to Go program from www.good2go.com. You can also watch other modules on our YouTube channel called G2GSunol. And if you have any questions, just email us at good2gosunol@gmail.com. We encourage you to get a workbook, prepare for wildfire, and get good to go.